The Renew podcast features inspiring conversations between host Lauren Martin and influential women shaping the real estate industry. Renew is a rent-free initiative to unite and cheer on women professionals from every corner of the real estate world, coast to coast.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Renew podcast. I have two very special ladies on today. We have Marsha, and Katy with us. And ladies, to kick things off in true Renew fashion, I'm going to ask you our pop quiz question of the month. So, in the spirit of powerful women, who was your favorite female superhero in either a comic book, TV show, or movie?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Wonder Woman. I just wanted to look like Wonder Woman.
She's
and
awesome.
She did have a magic lasso.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Katy, how about you?
Mine is Jessica Jones, which is a bit of like a deep cut answer. She did have her own TV show, but I loved her comics. She comes back every once in a while, but she's just tries to be a normal person. She's a PI who has superpowers, and I think she's pretty cool. So it's Jessica Jones for sure.
I think they're making like a Jessica Jones movie coming out soon.
I would love that. I loved the show. It's really, really good. And it was part of that like Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Mm-hmm.
And she like marries Luke Cage like in the comics, which is cool. But there is a comic that I really like where in her original story, she's asked to join the Avengers and she says no. But then Marvel does a, well, what if she did? And she marries Captain America. And I was like, hell yeah, girl, marry Captain America.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's definitely Jessica Jones.
I love that. I love both of those. Well, welcome to the Renew podcast presented by Rent Spree. I'm Lauren Martin, Sales Director of the prop tech company Rent Spree. This podcast is a featured offering of Renew, an initiative that aims to elevate female voices, share insight on how to navigate industry challenges, and showcase the remarkable achievements of women in real estate. In this episode, I'm excited to be talking to two very inspiring women in the space. Marsha Buice, Chief Operating Officer at FMLS, and Katy Davenport, Director of Product Management at FMLS. Marsha and Katy, welcome, and we are so excited to have you guys today.
Thank you.
So to get us started, Marsha, we will start with you. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today?
Well, I actually started out in the medical field. I was a radiological technologist for a while and did a detour and trying to consider what my next career path would be when I found my way to what's called PRC. There's a lot of PRC folks out there. But basically, for those not familiar, it would be the CoreLogic of today. And so I was on the vendor side for 6 years, doing a little bit of everything for them and traveling and doing some training and tech support at the time. And after about 6 years in, FMLS was one of our accounts, and they wanted in-house technical product and training support, and they offered me a position. I'm still here today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you went from the vendor side into the MLS side.
I did.
That's really cool. Katy, how about you?
Yeah, so I, like Marsha, started in a different field originally. I was in hospitality and gaming for a long time. I worked in casinos. I had big dreams of becoming a pit boss one day, and it was really, really difficult work, and I decided to maybe look into a different career path. So I got a job just randomly. I wanted an excuse to move to Chicago from where I was living in Michigan, so I got a job at Redfin as a listing coordinator. And I really ended up liking the industry. I just thought I was getting a job to get me to Chicago, and then maybe I'd go back to hospitality. But I was a listing coordinator for DC agents when Bright MLS became kind of what it is today. Like originally I was working in MRIS, and then that became part of Bright. And I was really interested in the MLS world from that point. So I moved over to Showing Time, where I first met Marsha. She was my customer. And then from there, I did some time working at Zenlist, which is a startup in the industry that's really making a big splash. And then ran into Marsha at a resale conference, and she told me about this opportunity at FMLS, and that's where I've been for the last 2.5 years.
You left off, I stalked you for several months.
She did stalk me for several months. Like, there was a very long period of time between when I first talked to her and then when I finally took the position at FMLS. but I'm really glad that I did. It
Katy
was
made
definitely
quite an
worth the wait.
impression. I knew she was the right person for that job. So
Well,
love
thank you, Marsha.
strong, powerful women.
All the best future employers, I think, like kind of stalk you for the job.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
They want to make sure you're the right person to get on board. So that's awesome. Well, you guys are quite the dynamic duo, you know. I always love seeing you both at conferences. But for the people listening, Marsha, would you mind just telling our listeners a little bit about what your day-to-day is at FMLS, what your current job entails?
Every day is different, if I'm being honest, but in operations, I oversee the different departments at FMLS, which working with, having the opportunity to work with Katy and her wonderful team, and Katy also oversees our data and data integrity teams. So decisions bubble up from there, you know, there's contracts, getting involved in any aspect where someone needs assistance or approvals. And then I oversee our training team, in addition to finance, customer care, and I know I'm leaving some stuff off, but anyway, it's just overseeing all the different departments and aspects we do, getting involved in the contracts, negotiations, getting involved with, you know, just anything that needs to be done. But, you know, hey, I walk through the parking lot and I see trash in the parking lot, I pick it up too. I think the job just extends, you know, whatever needs to be done.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love that. I think that's such an important message to spread to people because people get to positions like you guys and they're like, well, I don't really need to pick up the trash in the parking lot. And I think it's just important to remember that you are a part of a group and a community and you're helping build the organization all together. So, Katy, what does your day-to-day look like?
Similar to Marsha, every day is a little different. I do manage 3 very different teams. Our product team, which also has some project management, like a little project management branch. I spend most of my time working with them. We manage our tech stack for our members. We handle escalations, working through bugs. I also oversee the compliance team and our data integrity. So usually helping work through member issues related to compliance. Nobody likes getting fined. And so when I do have to hop into a situation, it's usually not a happy one, but it's okay. Like I do well with the conflict resolution, but I spend a lot of time working with the project management side and making sure that my team has everything they need. I think a big part of my job is to make sure that my team has the support that they need and the resources. So I spend a lot of time checking in, like, hey, like, you know, how is this task going? What do you need to accomplish it? And having a lot of those conversations. One thing I really like, and Marsha and I think are the same on, is my department's always evolving in the way we do things, and we're always trying new things. So a lot of my job is fun conversations about how can we make this better, which is exciting. I like the future planning. So it's a lot of that. Also working with our data feeds and making sure that our data shares are set up correctly. It's really every day is a little different. So I check in with my teams at the beginning of every morning to just be like, all right, what's it going to look like today? And where do you need me? And just helping keep that going and being the liaison between like engineering and customer support and training and making sure that they're all on the same page of what we're working to accomplish on the product side. So it's a lot of cross-departmental work, but I like it. I spend all day talking, basically, like talking and sitting on calls, and I don't mind it. I know some people don't like it, but I love it. I'm a chatterbox, so it works for me.
Yeah. Well, when you get home or like when you log off for the end of the day, are you tired of talking or you can just keep going?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm done for the day. I'm pretty quiet when I'm outside of work, which I think surprises people when they spend time with me socially, that I'm a much more reserved person outside of work. I use up all of my energy and all of my socialization during the workday, and then usually Marsha and I, like a couple times a week, will have a call after hours, and after that I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't really need to talk to anyone except like my husband and my dog.
Yeah, well, I'm the same as you. Whenever we go to conferences and stuff and you just talk all day long, when I get back into my room, if somebody calls me, I'm like, oh my gosh, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk anymore.
Same. Yeah, I think you just need your downtime. Just
Yeah.
need to decompress. Sometimes it's a lot.
Yeah, I pull out my Kindle and that's it. That's my signal that I'm done for the night.
Well, you know what? It's funny that you bring up working in casinos because whenever we have a conference like in Vegas or something, I'm the most overstimulated. I don't know about you guys, but like if we're in a casino, I go back to my room, I just lay in bed and I can still hear the like dinging in my head and I'm just more exhausted.
It's a lot. It was always interesting working on the casino floor, or even just having to pass through it. Sometimes I would be off the floor, but I would have I would wake up in the middle of the night to dreams of hearing slot machines, or customers coming up to me wanting to redeem a promotion, and I would wake up and be like, no, please, no more, and realize oh no, it's fine. So I think that was a sign that it was time to get out of hospitality and gaming, and maybe take on something a little quieter.
Yeah, but Marsha, you brought it up too. Just every day is different. And this industry in particular, I feel like has such a low churn. Like people stay in their jobs because it makes it exciting, right? Everything that you're doing is different from day to day. You don't get stuck in the boring, monotony of the same thing, same day. So do you guys find that helps keep you fulfilled on a day-to-day basis, just knowing that every day is going to be different?
It does. I think it really does. And part of my responsibilities too is I talk with a lot of our broker and agent members and throughout the week, and being able to help them be able to understand or accept. And it's amazing, yes, we do get those calls that are difficult at times, but overwhelmingly the calls are positive and they're very accepting, and it is a partnership. And that for me is exciting, getting out there and showing them what we can do for them and them being successful. So it's a nice reward to the end for home ownership.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would you ladies say has been your biggest challenge in life to get where you are today?
Do you want me to start, Katy, or?
Yeah, you can go first, Mark.
Well, Katy and I's perspectives are going to be a little different. We grew up in different eras. I grew up in an era when women, remember when I grew up with my mom, she was taking care of the family. That was what was expected, not so much working outside of the house. And as I became older, I was really right there caught in the middle of the women's movement, and more and more women were empowered. They were prioritizing their careers. So when I started in the real estate industry, it was just dominated by male leadership. There weren't very many females. And some of these things are hard to hear, but this is what I heard. Hey, you girls can go now. We're going to discuss this. Or, honey, what do you need? Or, you were addressed a little. I don't think they meant to be disrespectful, but it doesn't come across well. So early in my career, I feel like it was having to learn to set boundaries, and women had to watch their image and the message. A couple reasons. One, sometimes there was unwanted male attention in the early years, but think about it. In a male-dominated environment, when you look at the male-female perspective, a woman wants perfection. Well, what is she? She's a pig. A woman's assertive. We're trying to assert ourselves. And Katy's experienced this, and I've taken up for her. We won't name names. But then, she was aggressive. And it's not being aggressive. You are just asserting your position. You exude leadership, you're controlling. So there is a double standard. I think we've come a long, long way. There is room for improvement, but we've come a long way in the last 10 years. And I think we just need to continue to stick up for ourselves, but for each other, because Katy and I have been in a couple uncomfortable situations, and we very much are both like, no, wait a minute. Let's take a step back and let's talk about this and look at this from the real perspective.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely see, I've come across that in my career too, like you, Katy, and you, Marsha. If you state your opinion too much, you're loud and obnoxious, or, if you defend yourself or hold your position and say, hey, no, I didn't do that, you're rude. And it's unfortunate, but I feel like it is getting better.
It's getting better. Again, we got a way to go, but there is a double standard.
For sure, yeah. And definitely, like you said, it still exists today where they're like, hey, it's the boys' time now. The boys are talking, or they're there, here's your juice box, go sit at the kids' table for a minute, It's definitely still something that's being worked on.
Well, I think we all collectively, and you doing a show like this and leading women, I think this is what helps empower us. It really does.
Yeah, I think too, just people hearing your stories, the biggest thing I've heard is people want to know they're not alone. And what happened to you, Marsha, it's happened to you, Katy, it's happened to me, it happens to other people, and we just have to continue to raise awareness for it, for sure.
Absolutely.
But Katy, how about you? What are some of the biggest challenges or the biggest challenge you faced in your career?
Yeah, so some big challenges that I have encountered. have been, I mean, and it's the same regardless of the industry, because I would have the same experience when I would be dealing with upset guests at one of my casino properties, or now having to give a hard no on a situation. I know that, like, I have confidence in my own knowledge and what I'm bringing to the table. But I think for a lot of women, and something that I experienced a lot early on, was not having anyone have trust in that. Like, they see this, pushy girl in their mind from the Midwest, like, come in and give a, firm answer and not be like this nice, like, person in their minds. And, I've always been a very, like, assertive, to the point person. I don't want someone to sugarcoat something for me, and I would never do that for someone else. And that can come off as being aggressive or being intimidating. And the problem is it's not just perceived that way with men in the industry, but when I was working in hospitality, and even sometimes now in the industry, I'll encounter where I have this reputation for being, like, to the point and wanting the straight facts and being very assertive. And some people find that intimidating, and some women find that intimidating. And so they feel uncomfortable coming to me because they're like, oh, like, maybe these rumors about Katy are real, but really it's this perception of, I just get to the point, like, I don't have time to mess around. And it was really difficult for me, like, and even coming into this industry as, like, a coordinator, I felt like I was in this position where I knew what I was saying, but the home sellers, or even sometimes the agents I worked with, didn't trust what I was saying, or didn't trust my opinion, or they didn't like the delivery of it. And it wasn't until I got to showing time, and then I kind of hit, over the last 3 jobs of my career, I've hit triple cherries, where I worked for 3 really strong women. I worked for Kathleen Bohannon at Showing Time, who taught me to never apologize for giving an answer whether someone likes it. And then I worked with Eileen Romito at Zenlist, who really helped me, like, learn to speak, like, my own voice and feel confident in my own decisions. And now, like, I work with Marsha, and I have a mentor that is more like a partner than someone that I just look up to and want to be like. Like, Marsha and I are constantly working together and collaborating and learning from each other. And not having those relationships early on was really hard. And, like, having to build them is not easy for women. Like, a guy can graduate from college and meet his mentor the next day, and then that's the guy he's going to be like for the rest of his life. Women, it's a lot harder, because there are women that feel uncomfortable, I think, sometimes taking on someone else or mentoring someone, because they're like, what do I know? Like, do I really have this in me to do? And I've had those doubts in the past as well. But after working with 3 really strong women over the last, like, 8 years, that's really helped turn around my perspective. And now I very much have the same mentality they have, as I'm climbing this ladder, I'm reaching my hand down to bring someone else up with me. And not having that was so difficult in the beginning, and I'm so thankful that I have it now. So the way I work is, I never want someone to not have it again, at least when they're around me. So I work really hard to empower my team, man or woman, and bring them up with me. And I think that that's really powerful, and it's something we need more of in this industry and all industries.
For sure. I
I
think
think Katy hit the nail on the head. She mentioned something I picked up on that's key. I don't think we have the same self-confidence, like a guy coming out of college, these strong men. That's accepted, but women not so much. And so, like Katy said, I'm being told I'm aggressive, I'm told I'm being pushy, I'm being told, and that's not the case. You're showing leadership skills. It's just perceived differently. And again, I think because of that, women, not all women, but a lot of women tend to have self-confidence issues. I know in my early part of my career, yes, because the things that I was being told. And then suddenly you figure out that's not the case.
Yeah, I think women in particular too, you said it, Katy, but we have a hard time finding our voice. And you said one of your mentors helped you find your voice. And I think it's because, to your point, Marsha, like, early on, we're juggling all of these different narratives of what people think we are, who are we, what can we be to somebody else, who are we in our soul and our core, how do I communicate, and all of these different facets. It builds up a persona that we let people see, but it doesn't really mean that that's who we are. I love that you said somebody helped you find that, because we need more people to just come out of their shell and be comfortable being who they are. Don't be kinder or not kinder. Be yourself. Be kind in the way that you want to be kind. Don't be assertive or not be assertive because you think somebody's going to view it some way. I just think it's really important to lift each other up, to be ourselves.
No, I agree. And I feel like so many of us, like through our lived experience and through just like being a woman in especially like a technical role, like the three of us we all work for some form of technology, we create these barriers ourselves, and it takes someone like Marsha or Eileen or Kathleen, like, to help you see, like, oh, that's not a barrier, it's just a curtain, you just have to push it aside and you can walk right through it. And I think that a lot of what holds us back is something that we've created in our own mind because we've just been conditioned to think this way for so long. And so it's really helpful when you have groups like this, or you find kind of like your group of people in the industry who help like lift you up. Like there's so many amazing women that I know in this industry and I love, and really like help encourage me. And sometimes I just call them because I'm having a bad day, or like I'll just message Marsha on Teams, like, I'm having a really rough day, and she'll like send me positive affirmations or like encouragement or find a way to help me. And that's so important, is building this like community here so that we can all kind of bring down those barriers and keep moving forward as women in this industry.
Yeah, and you guys both alluded to something that I don't feel like we talk enough about as women, but it's imposter syndrome. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's so weird. I think women don't even want to talk about imposter syndrome because they have imposter syndrome about imposter syndrome. Like, if I say that I have it, then I'm like inflating myself because I'm saying that I'm better than I am. And I just would love to hear your guys' takes on that, because I've asked so many people to be on this podcast, just like I've asked you guys. And so many people are like, well, I don't really know what I would talk about. Like, you want to hear from me? And it's just, that's crazy to me. So, do you guys experience imposter syndrome? Is it something that you guys talk about at work or together?
Oh yeah, like all the time. It's something that I deal with. Sometimes I think that we'll experience it and not even realize it. And I was like stressed about coming on this podcast because I'm like, what do I have to say? Like, Marsha's like very encouraging that it would be good for us to do it together. But I was talking to my sister before this and I was like, I don't know, like this might be like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know if I'm going to say anything worthwhile. And she even said, she's like, sounds like your imposter syndrome's right now. So it's, that's how it is. We have to speak to it when we see it in other women, but I think we often don't recognize it in ourselves.
Yeah, for sure. How about you, Marsha?
Very true. No, the same. Katy and I, not that long ago, were talking about, imposter syndrome and speaking your truth and being able to be the real you. It's not always easy to do. You want to tend to emulate somebody, and sometimes you're not being your best honest self.
For sure.
And you
For
really
sure.
got to, take a deep look inside and work with that. And I'm really lucky. Like I've got Katy. There's another amazing woman on our team who joined us a year ago, another strong female leader. Katy's got some strong female leaders on her team. One in particular I know has had trouble finding her voice, and Katy's really mentored her. I've reached out from time to time. This person is so smart and talented, but she doesn't see it in herself all the time. And we're like, no, you are. And everybody that works with her thinks she's incredible. But sometimes we just need that affirmation, and we need to hear it from people that you respect to understand, oh, yeah, I'm okay.